Today's lesson will cover Chapter 13 on urban patterns. In this chapter, we will cover 4 key issues. The first is on why downtowns are distinctive, the second on where people are distributed in urban areas, the third on why urban areas expand, and the fourth on why cities face sustainability challenges. The first key issue will cover 3 areas. We'll introduce urban patterns, talk about the central business district, and then talk about competition for space in CBDs, also known as the central business district. There are 3 ways to define an urban area. The first is a central city, also known as municipal city limits. An urbanized area is a central city and its surrounding suburbs. It is 50,000 plus residents. Looking at an urban cluster, that's smaller than an urbanized area, and it includes 2,500 to 50,000 residents. There are specific statistical areas in which the census might use to collect data. The first is the metropolitan statistical area. It is considered an urbanized area of 50,000 plus people. It includes the county of that urbanized area, but it also includes adjacent counties with high densities and interaction with that central county. A micropolitan statistical area is like a metropolitan statistical area, except it's a lot smaller. So it will have a central city, but its central city is going to have 10,000 to 50,000 inhabitants. Again, census data or information might be collected from either of these specific statistical areas. Take a look at Figure 13-2. The U.S. Census defines urban areas depending on the size and number of its municipalities and their interaction. Just a quick reminder that a metropolitan statistical area is much larger in its population, and a micropolitan statistical area is much smaller in its population. Metropolitan areas usually encompass several cities as well as several counties. So in a specific county, for example, you might see multiple cities. The municipality typically refers to a city in which has local control or a local government that makes decisions. So for example, if we were going to be talking about a county and we were looking at Sacramento County includes the city of Sacramento, Folsom, and Roseville. In this image, that is what you would see when looking at the urbanized area, with Sacramento referred to as Municipality A. The entire metropolitan statistical area, however, would include multiple counties. These counties would include Sacramento, but also include counties like Yolo, El Dorado, Placer, Sutter, and Yuba. When looking at the micropolitan statistical area, we see that this includes only one county, again referring to a much smaller population. In this one, we can look at Susanville being part of Lassen County as making up the micropolitan statistical area. We can also see the generalized map applied to an actual map of the statistical area of St. Louis. So the city of St. Louis comprises only 6% of the land area in this metropolitan area and 11% of the population. You can see that the municipality is just that red section right in the center. In the next section, we're going to be talking about a very important feature of a urbanized area, and that's the central business district. We'll use the acronym CBD to clarify that. So the CBD, or downtown area, is the most central place in a city with a high concentration of public services, business services, and consumer services, all those things you learned about in the last chapter. It's also going to include a high threshold and range in retail, and retail serving the central business district workers. Take some time to check out Figure 13-5 located on page 462 of your textbook. The Louisville Central Business District contains a high concentration of public business, consumer services, tall buildings, and also demonstrates the value of locating near the center. Services are attracted to the CBD because of its accessibility. The CBD is the easiest part of the city to reach from the rest of the region and is the focal point of the region's transportation network. The CBD is one of the oldest districts in a city, usually at or near the original site of the settlement. We also find that CBDs are often situated along a body of water, which is a principal transportation route that was established prior to the 20th century. Figures 13-7 and 13-8 also show more close-up features of Louisville, Kentucky, or its central business district. You can see in figure 13-7 at 400 West Market, also formerly known as Agon Center, is Louisville's tallest building. Figure 13-8 shows consumer services in Louisville CBD. This is of 4th Street, Live Restaurant and Entertainment District. You also see a Hard Rock Cafe in the background, and lots of Hard Rock Cafes happen to be established in central business districts all over the world, mainly because they're very touristy. There is a very high competition for space in central business districts. The high demand exists because of the limited land that is available in a central business district. The high demand for land has led to two vertical features. So vertical development maximizes space through underground spaces and skyscrapers. Underground networks usually exist below central business districts, and they usually include garages, loading docks for deliveries to offices and shops, pipes for water and sewer service, telephone, electric, TV, and broadband cables, as well as different subway trains that might run beneath the streets of the central business district. Skyscrapers, on the other hand, allow for the demand of space to be vertically risen above the original building. So it helps to establish structures that are more economically feasible. Downtown skyscrapers give a city one of its most distinctive images and unifying symbols. CBDs usually have very unique downtown skylines that are resulted from the arrangement of unique architectural styles and high-rise buildings. Since there is such a demand for space in the central business district, you don't tend to see manufacturing and big residences, families living in the central business district. That is changing a little bit as a lot of younger people are starting to move back to central business districts, especially in the United States. However, we still generally see that big industries and, factories for manufacturing need a lot of space. So since it's so expensive, they tend to be outside the central business district. And for residences, when we're talking about suburban areas, big homes, big yards, um, you know, ideal schools, lots of space. We're also looking at residences that are outside the central business district. Take a look at figure 13-10 located on page 464 of your textbook. What you see here is Montreal. This is Canada's underground city. It maximizes the use of land in the city center and allows shoppers to avoid winter weather. In image A, we actually see the world's largest underground complex with lots of shopping and amenities. And in image B, we see that winter in Montreal is quite cold and harsh, and that discourages a lot of outdoor shopping, which explains the need for an underground entity like you see in image A. Figure 13-11 shows the John Hancock Center, and that is located in Chicago. The lower floors of the Hancock Center and the neighboring buildings, such as Water Tower Place, are devoted to commercial activities. The middle floors are offices, and the upper floors are apartments. and the top 2 floors are commercial activities, an observation deck, restaurant, and a bar. Just to take it back a little bit and make sure that we backtrack and cover public services, business services, and consumer services, remember there's going to be a high concentration of these things in the CBD. Public services in a CBD, for example, would include City Hall, courts, county and state agencies, and libraries. You might also find sports facilities and convention centers that are within the CBD as well. Much of the reason that complexes still remain in the CBD, even though they take up a lot of space, is because they hopefully will appeal to a large number of people. You got a lot of tourists that might be coming through there. And also, it is put there in hopes of stimulating more growth, particularly with businesses like restaurants, bars, and hotels. This explains very much so why Sacramento decided to build their new arena, the Golden One Arena, in downtown Sacramento. For business services, people in business services like advertising, banking, finance, journalism, and law particularly depend on proximity to professional colleagues. Lawyers, for example, choose locations near government offices and courts. Services such as temporary secretarial agencies and instant printers locate downtown to be near lawyers, forming a chain of interdependency that continues to draw offices to the center city. Next, we have consumer services. And in the past, these retail services did happen to cluster in central business districts because they required accessibility to more people in the region. However, retailers have started to move away from the central business district and into more suburban areas. A lot of the retail shops that still exist in the central business district are there to support the visiting tourists. So local residents also may patronize the shops in the CBD, more like for leisure reasons or leisure activities or on evenings and weekends. Lots of retail activities do still include unique shops or restaurants that do appeal to office workers in the central business district, especially during their lunch or working hours. The retailers in the central business district may sell office supplies, computers, or clothing, shoe repair, rapid photocopying, dry cleaning, and so on. This is the end of Key Issue 1. Stay tuned for Key Issue 2.